got up here and want to talk about the roads that have been done since 2018, and that's true. To be fair and to be frank, we got a lot more roads done in this constituency in the first term of government than we were able to get in the last one. And so some of the ones that he listed, we've gotten done. The ones that we've gotten done since 2022, some in Brigham Hill, some in Carrington Village. But one of the reasons that I wanted to have my first spot meeting here in this community is that I have spent the last couple of years in Parliament and outside of Parliament. And if you all listen to me, from tomorrow I want you all to go on to marsha.barbados.com and look at some of the clips from Parliament. They're short ones. And look at some of the times that I got up in Parliament. Because when you vote in an election, that's where you're sending me, you know. When you vote for a representative, you're sending them to Parliament to keep noise on your behalf, to make laws for you. That's the reason that you vote for us to go there. And as Roshana said tonight, nobody's going to get in the way of me doing that. Because guess what? And I had to say, I don't want to call her name, but I did say it to her, Annette, earlier this evening, that lived right there. I said, Annette, you're going to tell me about walking through here, about the train line? Because I used to walk through here from school as a child. And one of the reasons that this is important to me, and one of the reasons that, quite frankly, representation comes before anybody's job in any government, for me, is that this is the way that I grew up. One of the reasons I wanted to come to political service is that I grew up in St. Clair Road and Haggett Hall. I grew up in what we would call, you know, in infrastructure ministries, it's all about timber houses. I grew up in a board house. That's what we used to say, like many of the ones down here. And in fact, the chattel houses that I grew up in, the chattel houses that we made that back then, to me, that was the Bajan way of living. And that was a dignified way to live. But I grew up in tight space. And the truth is, I had to turn sideways to pass through the paling of my house and the paling of the neighbor house. And that's how we know life to be. But I always felt that when people live in tight spaces, and I mean communities like ours, we get along well. We look out for one another. The first night I came down here in the Marl Hole, the very first night in 2016, there was a young man sitting there. And he said to me, oh, you're the woman that won't come and represent down here. I want to tell you something. And he pointed to a house and he said, they got an old man that live in that house. I don't want nothing for myself, but I want you to make sure that she's right. And when I heard that, I knew that these were my people. Because this is how we live. And that's the reason that when I stood up in Parliament and all those debates and talked about Roberts Gap and Chase Gap and Bibby's Gap and Train Line Road and Marl Hole and the condition of the roads, I mean, I really want y'all to go and watch them. I said to these people, first of all, y'all can't drive through here. Y'all can't drive through here, nor walk through here, nor glance through here when y'all pass on Halls Road. The fact that y'all pave during a World Cup, and Tyreek, don't look at me because I talk in things. The fact that y'all pave up to Robert Street during a World Cup and stop short at a roundabout, knowing full well that these little gaps in here are urgently and desperately in need of resurfacing. I take personal offense to that on behalf of the people of St. Michael South Central. I said that. I said that. And I will continue to say it. Because, you know, we hear all kinds of things, and Michael and I are going to tell you tonight about something exciting that we're doing together. But we say all kinds of things about people from these communities. You know, short up the road in Tweedside Road, Baycroft, for about a year, the Baycroft Road sign was on the ground. It was on the ground. It was lying there on a broken away culvert sidewalk. And I remember when the first time I went back to visit my father in St. Clair Road, and I saw the St. Clair Road sign on the ground. And I felt bad because I feel so proud of St. Clair Road, that little gap where I grew up. And when I saw the sign on the ground, I felt like, but y'all ain't caring about here. And I felt the same way about Baycroft Gap. I feel like people say a lot about the people that live in these communities. But if you want people to respect where they come from, you also have to respect where they come from. If you want people to feel that they're a part of a community that they need to protect, then you need to put them in a place where they feel like this is somewhere worth fighting for. When I say fighting for, I mean in the best way. I mean fighting for in the sense that we are going to work hard every day to do community projects, to have a sense of solidarity out here, and do what is necessary in our communities. And so I want to give you the assurance tonight, and when you see me dropping these pamphlets in your mailboxes that say we've been asking for these roads to be done every 6 months since January 2022, that's a fact. And I will tell you right now, I bypassed everybody. I went to the Prime Minister. And I said, well, Prime Minister, what are you doing? I said, you remember the night that we came down here together? You remember the night that we came down here together and we said to the young people under that shed, we're going to look out for you. And we've done some of that. And I'm going to get to that in a second. We've done some of that, and I have to say, some of you, I am very proud of, because you took advantage of the opportunities. But we have to be there for people in more than one way. And so the first thing I've come to tell you tonight is that when I spoke to the Prime Minister, she gave me the assurance that these roads are being prioritized in 2026. And the fact is, I can't say that was good enough for me, because I felt they should have been done before. I also felt, as Ramona said to you, I'm an economist and I know how to manage resources. And I know that you come out here and you ask people to move their cars, and I can tell you all from now that they can come and ask you to move your vehicles so they can pave the road, and I beg them to please move the vehicles when they ask you to come. But I can guarantee you that the average road out here can't be no more than what? 60, 70, 80 meters. Short roads, small roads. They take you 2 days to run through here and pave all these roads. And so I know, trust me, I know the state of the roads out here. And I know that they are in urgent need of repair, and I have given my commitment that I will not shut up. I will not let up until these roads are addressed. But there's something else I want to talk about. And it's the fact that, we had a lot of conversations under this tree right here, under that shed right there. And one of those conversations had to do with the idea that sometimes people find themselves in certain kinds of activities because they haven't had an opportunity to do other kinds of things. We know that all too well. And, I talk a lot about the housing that we've been able to do in this constituency, and St. Michael is a funny area because you got to find a little lot here and a little lot there. We don't have these huge expanses of space where you could go and build 100 houses at once. We don't have that. But what we have been able to do is to be able to find little spots around where we've been able to repair or erect new housing. And one of the commitments that I made to some of the young people, well, they're not so young anymore, because that was a full 10 years ago now. But one of the commitments that we made was that we would find a way, if you train up your skills, and we help you train up in your skills, that you would be able to get access to government procurement, simply put, access to government contracts to build some of these houses that we are having to build and repair in these communities. And why? And I remember Mia said it right there in that corner. Because we had discussed it. Because if you have to go and fix this house here, and you live there, it means, first of all, that you know the person whose house you fix in our building. It means that that person knows you. And it means that, one, that you feel a sense of commitment to do right by them and do a good job for them. But it also means that if you don't, well, they'll know where to find you. And they know how to hold you accountable. They know your mother or you know your grandmother, and they can make you shame. And I'm happy to say that one of the first contractors we engaged to do our first houses was from right here in this community. And I'm not going to point to where he lives. Everybody knows, I feel, everybody from down here knows who I mean. And he has now passed away, regrettably. And his family was then able to take over the business and do some of that building. We want to be able to do more of that. Roshana said tonight that there's this idea that no matter who in, you still gotta live, you still gotta work, and that is true. But the question is, how far do you have to go to meet me? Or how far am I willing to go to meet you? Yes, there's some effort that you have to put in. There are things that you have to do. You have to learn how to do something. And I'm going to say something that might be a little sensitive here tonight. I say to people who come and say to me, I want something to do. And I say, well, what do you want to do? Man, anything. That's the end of the conversation, because I don't know what I mean. That's going to be the end of the conversation. Because you got to want something for yourself. You got to be willing to talk through with me. What is it that you envision yourself doing in your life? Is tiling? Is steel bending? Is joinery? What is? A young man from Flagstaff said to me, I did plumbing at SJPI, but I don't like that. I like hospitality. I like bartending. And he went and found a job in the hospitality sector. So you got to be able to think about what is it that you want to do every day. But you know, we have started some projects to help with that. I love Project Dawn. I want you all to hear the words clearly. Project Dawn. There are people from all over this constituency who have reached out to Project Dawn, or we reached out to you. They've said, I got a landscaping business, or I got a steel bending business, or I got a plumbing business, I need some equipment. I have seen situations where men from Flagstaff, from Valerie and Brennan's Hill, from Bannisterland, from Carrington Village, had equipment in their hands and were ready to work by the Monday of the next week. Because it's just a practical project. It means sometimes that you got to get up and go to the office and collect the things. You can't sit down where you are and have life drop in your lap. But this is one of the projects that we have been able to execute here. But there's something else that I want to tell you about. And I'm not gonna spend too long, because I came here tonight to talk to you really about two things. About these roads and about the opportunities that are out there for you. There's a young man that I met down here. Not gonna call his name either. I know he's listening to me though. And he has gone from step to step working in government, and started out in one other place in government, and now he's still there working in another department. And part of what he does is he helps people register businesses. Register a business name, register a company, get yourself together. He's from right here. And he said to me, you know, Marsha, I really want to work with some of the young people down here to be able to do that with them, for them. And I said, no problem. We can work on that. But I want to talk to you about two things tonight. One is a program that you'll read about in the brochure that we've been giving out. It's something that we are about to launch in the second quarter of this year. And it's called the Real Life Academy. And what is that? You know, so many people come in the office and sit down and tell me, yeah, I went to skills training, man, got the certificate. I went to skills training, but I didn't finish. Or I applied, but I ain't get in. Or man, that's too far. Or I just got my little man right, so I just can't go there all the time. And some people are going to be able to go into the classes, but some people, we have to bring the classes to you. And so, Real Life Academy is where we set you up right in this community. Bring real skills that you learn on site, that you have to be able to prove before you leave that you can do, that we get you certified in. I ain't talking about, yeah, I could do a little tiling, I could do a little carpentry, because then you're going to tell people place bandy and that at me. I'm talking about giving you a real skill that you can do right there. And that when you leave, you are able to find work right away. I need a commitment from you to be able to apply your minds and your hearts to that. And the commitment from us is that we're going to come and find you and deliver that training to you. Once we've done that, you have people right here that are going to work with us, your friends, not mine, to help you set up the companies, to be able to get contracts in the area that you've trained in. But I'll tell you this, you got to be able to come as a group. I know that we got this mentality nowadays, I going for my own, I going with myself. You got to be able to bring along these people that you grew up with. One of the biggest regrets, one of the biggest reflections in my life when I left Belmont Primary School is that I thought that my friends were right there next to me. I thought they were right there next to me. I was working hard and I was striving and I was, working as a cashier in a supermarket at 16 and helping with my parents to put myself through school, and I thought that everybody else that I went to Belmont with was doing that, but they weren't. Some of them were left behind. And I want you to realize that you have people around you. Look around and see them. You have to bring them along with you. Don't go and get your equipment and go along and say, man, again, hey, man. Now, if they're in positive and if they're not looking to build you up, then you might go and make a call. But what we want is for you to bring them along. But I'm going to let Michael tell you a little bit about something that we are launching together. It's called Project Reset. And Project Reset is what? It is a way for us, from the age of 9 years old, to be able to see and give some attention and give some love to some of the young ones that keep getting suspended from school. That between the ages of 9 and 17 may already be before the law courts for a minor offense that is not a firearm offense, a non-firearm related offense, because there's only so much we can do. But there are many reasons that people between the ages of 9 and 17 look in the papers. We all know it. There is some reason that some of your young people at a very, very young age are already coming before the court. And so Project Reset is saying, look, I'm catching you before you get here. Come. It's one of the reasons that we invest in youth football. Yes, I used to play football. I love football. Arsenal. I don't want to start a noise over here. Arsenal for life. Yes, I love football. But the reason that you see me investing so much in football is that I know what it can do for young people that need a structure. The reason you saw me start Valerie Youth Football Club is because I know that those young people needed somewhere to be and they needed something to aspire to. And the reason that you will shortly see us doing a lot more work with Weymouth Wales youth, and I want you all to look out for that, because I have made a commitment, not to anybody else, but to the young people themselves. I made a commitment to those boys and girls that I am going to make sure that they are able to realize their full talent through Weymouth Wales or any other team coming out of Carrington Village. But Project Reset is to be able to take young people, engage young people who are flagged in school, who are habitually being suspended, them with their families, and strengthen their access to justice, to sports, to mentorship, to skills development, and to employment. And we starting at 9. We starting at 9 because sometimes even at 9, you've already missed a key opportunity. But the other part of it is to be able to, also to be able to reset people that have already had some interaction with the court, or may have spent some time inside. And when they come out, it's hard to get a chance. And so, I told a story, I don't know if you heard about it, at Michael's spot meeting on the other side in Ellis Village, about how many young people would come to me and say, yeah, I work with Mr. Lashy, and I would tell them, oh boy, all right, well, this was years ago, this was before. I would say, oh dear, well, I don't know how we would work together. But now happily I see how we can work together. And a big reason that I see how we can work together is because I believe that he has committed to his work in justice because he knows and understands that young people in these communities, they need their own justice. They need their own way of feeling like somebody is seeing them and holding them. And so this is the work that we've committed on both sides of this border, which is one community and one family, to do together. And I'm very excited about it. I heard him say some weeks, months ago, before the election was called, that this is the work of now. Holding these young people close, that is the work of now. But that work holds opportunities for you. I had some conversations with some young people as I close in this community. And I said to them, how is it that I am only now seeing you again? Where were you? And I heard all kinds of things about who went so and who's still here and who gone so. And I said to them, but don't that happen again? I said to them, I was looking for you, but you weren't looking for me. And don't let it only go in one direction. And why? When I came down here in 2016, I had real conversations. In 2018, I had real conversations. In 2020, even in the heart of COVID, when some of our families down here were struggling, I had real conversations and we had real reaching out to people. I don't like to lose that. And sometimes try as hard as I do. I had to tell somebody the other day, I am real, I make out of paper, and I am supernatural. I could only find you if I got your number, and if you want me to find you. And so I say all that to say that I feel that this is a relationship that we have to maintain. And I feel like if you don't hear me, call me. I feel like don't think that coming to my office is something you got to put on a jacket. I heard a man say to me the other day, I was coming by you, but I wasn't dressed properly, I had on a short pants. And I said, well, you don't think I wear short pants? I said, try and come along, do. Don't think that because it got 2 doors and it is an office, that's not for you. That office up there is for you. If not for you, I would not be in there. If not for you, I would not have anything to do in there. The whole reason I am there is for you. And so I wanted to come here tonight in the Marl Hole to fulfill a compact, because this is part of how I started. I was 11 years old walking, 11, 12, 13 years old walking from town up to the train line to go to Carrington's church, to dance rehearsal, and to sing in the chorale, and all of these things. This is part of my community. And y'all belong to me. And when I say that, I mean that we have work to finish. We have work to finish with the infrastructure, the roads down here. We have work to finish with the way McBill's youth and the little boys as we playing football down here, right in front of this paling, that love the sport and just need some support. And I have committed to them to give them that support. We have work to do to get you into companies that you start with skills that you have learned so that you can earn and create wealth in your families. We have work to do together. And that's the reason that I'm asking you for your vote on the 11th of February. But I'm also asking you one other thing. I do not understand how a person that says that they're here for you can disappear for 4 years. Not a children's party, not a drive-through, not anything. And then pop up again once the election bell is rung, and only then to say, I'm still here for you, but you are not here because you left. And I find it personally offensive, that's the truth, and you should too. Think about what it means that somebody that claimed to care about your community never showed up once there was nothing in it for him again. Think about that when you put your ex on February 11th. There is work to do. There's work that should have been done by now, but there's also work that has been done. So let's go forward together. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention tonight, and I look forward to us continuing the work in Marl Hole, in Halls Road, in this St. Michael South Central. Thank you.